to us, and he said, I'm a viewer from the Republic of Iraq. I would recommend expanding the scope of the topics discussed to be global and talking about similar topics that relate to different countries in addition to China.
I like that suggestion.
Remember, we had one episode about doing exercises, every day, twice, 10 o'clock and maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yep.
And this is about that. It's Rodolfo Luvecke from Austria. Thank you again for writing to us. And about this doing exercise show, it was great. And he tried to find some radio broadcast exercises on the internet. Obviously, you didn't.
Oh, well, I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah, but maybe basically in Chinese.
Yeah, and it also might be, exactly.
But who's going to exercise online? I mean, they're surfing online. You're going to stand up and exercise?
Yeah, but you can follow those exercises on the internet.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you very much for writing to us, and keep writing to us. Tell us where you are and what topics you might be interested in. What topics you want us to discuss. Something about China that you don't understand. Would love to include in our crossover. Anyway, move on to today's topic. And well, basically it's several news stories we're going to share with you and also with our viewers. And the first one, it's about the highest building in Beijing. Not the highest in China, but the highest building in Beijing. So pictures first.
Okay.
That's the highest building located in the very center of the CBD area in Beijing.
This building really is tall.
Yeah.
I can see it from my window at home.
But is that it's the new Guomao building, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But it doesn't fit in. It's a different architectural style from the other.
It is. It's the third building of the China World Complex.
And just to give you some, figures over here. I don't know how many stories they have, but obviously, the elevator can reach the 80th floor, and they can reach the 80th floor in 38 seconds. So it's like a rocket.
Wow,
whoa.
That's some G-force. I don't think I want to take that.
But the thing is, it doesn't feel comfortable with your ear, with all the air pressure. 38 seconds.
38 seconds? You'd just be a puddle of water on the elevator floor by the time you reach.
No, there has to be something that they can do to balance that, maybe. In the elevator.
But it should be nice to have a cup of coffee on the 80th floor if the weather is good.
I was going to say, if it looks like that, it would be a lovely thing to go do.
Too bad Beijing.
You never know whether it's clear or not.
More than 10 miles away.
You never know.
Yeah. And just to clear the cloud of its safety, whether it's going to be safe enough if there's something like earthquake happening in Beijing, say the base of this skyscraper goes deep as 23 meters, and besides that, there are 350 something like pillars going even further down.
Into the ground.
Into the ground.
So it's got an incredible foundation.
Yeah, and the deepest is 75 meters. So it's going deep down into the earth, 75 meters. So should be safe.
I should think so. It's about as deep as it is tall.
Yeah.
And talking about the high buildings in Beijing, the number of these high buildings, skyscrapers, and well, not only in Beijing, but in the whole country. But the number here is 98,000 high buildings in the whole country.
98,000?
98,000. Because in Beijing, when we say high building, it's higher than 24 meters. And in Beijing, if we say higher than 24 meters is high buildings, it's 8,000. Over 8,000 in Beijing.
If that's your definition, that doesn't surprise me too much.
Yeah, but
that's true.
If we are talking about high buildings higher than 100 meters, in the whole country, that's about 1,100. And in Beijing, it's 40.
Wow.
And in Shanghai, it's about 200. Or more than 200.
The Shanghai skyline is very tall.
And it's increasing every day.
Yes, it is.
It makes sense when you have a crowded city like Beijing or Shanghai, the only direction to go is
up in the air.
Right.
It's true.
And so we have some more pictures to show those high buildings in Shanghai. Well, it's not yet finished. And this is the future Shanghai Center is going to be 630 32 meters high. You know, the one in Beijing is 330 meters high.
So wait a minute, this is Pudong, right? That
In
was
Pudong. Yeah,
Wow.
a different angle, I guess.
Wow, that's high.
Wow.
Because those surrounding buildings there are really high.
Yeah.
And next picture shows the Shanghai World Financial Center and also the Jinmao Tower.
I like the new architectural style is no straight lines. That's straight lines are so 20th century. You know, everything is curly and twisted and everything. I like it.
So, I mean, it seems every city has this craze for high buildings. And what do you think are the reasons behind that? And then you mentioned one. It's
Yeah,
a
obviously.
populated place.
Yeah. Also, I think it's in terms of use of space. It's just the most economical use of space. And now that they have, like you say, the elevator technology is
38 seconds.
Right,
is
you
able
can-
to get you up and down,
Yeah.
and the buildings are getting more and more safe. They're also getting, I think, they're getting more and more environmentally safe,
Yeah.
friendly.
Yeah.
Right? So it just makes sense to do it that way. And also, they have an iconic value, other than.
That's true.
Julianne being the icon of
Crossover.
I mean, yeah, these things like in Dubai, the tall building there, these things have Eiffel Tower-like iconic value that you associate it with the city, and it adds to the skyline. So
It's true, and you know, I've often noticed that, and a lot of times in China, you'll find the world's first something, or the world's longest something, or the world's highest something.
highest,
you know, it's quite interesting, really, to see how many world firsts
Yeah.
China actually has. And I think also in more recent years, you know, it's kind of I'm sure it also is a pride thing. You know,
Yeah.
it makes everyone proud to have. I recently read a newspaper article about how in Beijing there's the world's longest bar. Yeah, at a hotel near the airport. They just
that's
opened the
interesting.
world's longest bar, and I thought, okay, that's,
Well, there's
you know.
that highest reception hall or highest
Exactly.
but you
hotel.
can get even higher at that bar, I'll tell you.
But I think, you know, that deserves to be, I think, added into this equation of.
You're right. You're right.
That's actually exactly what some officials are saying in China, why these cities are building all these high buildings. One of the reasons they gave out is, you know, we need to have something to show the progress of our development. You know, we've developed and we are capable enough to build a high building like this. Maybe a face thing again.
Yeah.
It could be. But also, I mean, we're also talking about a country with the largest population in the world. So if you look at it from that perspective as well, you know, a lot of people requires a lot of space. And, you know, the country's so big, so like you were saying, David, you know.
But sometimes I just think, you know, to be working or living in a place like that, you're hundreds of meters above the ground,
Yeah.
and you're somehow isolated from the community or maybe the city virtually. I don't really feel psychologically comfortable, you know.
Well, you know, that's a good
To have a
point.
cup of tea, that's fine. To have a nice view of the city, that's all right. But if you have to stay there for a long time working in a place like that, in a concrete box.
Well, you know, and Beijing's also a very windy city.
Oh, yeah.
And when buildings get that high, you can feel the building move
The
when
swinging.
the wind picks up. I have friends that live in Chicago, and you know, Chicago in the States is known as the Windy,
Windy City, yeah.
And when they're up high in you know, high skyscrapers, they can feel the building
Yeah.
moving in the wind, which is good, I guess. I mean,
Free exercise.
well, better move with the wind than just stand still, you know. But
Yeah, there is the highest building in Taiwan, the 101 Plaza or 101 building, and they have this huge damper, you know, to compromise the wind movement. This is the 101 building. Virtually, it's a huge iron ball, you know. When the wind pushes you to that direction, it moves the other direction. So somehow it balances the force.
So it acts as a
the wind.
counterbalance.
Yeah.
A counterbalance. Wow.
Wow.
That's amazing technologically. Amazing.
And that's also a scenic spot.
I
you
can
take pictures
tell,
of
yeah.
it. It's just like the torch, you know, of the of the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games.
Exactly.
Why do I feel like I'm living in a science fiction movie these days?
I know, right?
Everything is so modern.
So fancy and
Yeah, but
space age,
high
futuristic.
yeah, and the only thing I want to do with these high buildings is have a cup of coffee or tea
and then leave.
up there and go.
You're from the old. You're the old China. You like the single story, the old Beijing ping pong
If I
dwellings.
can afford one, you know. But, you know, high buildings are fine with me, but not too high.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree with Xiao Zhen.
Anyway, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, more news about architecture in China.
Every time he comes back, he brings a flower.
It's plastic.
I've brought back some smoked salmon. No need to declare.
I have only brought back some cigarettes.
Since August 1st, 2010, the government has implemented a new measure. An incoming passenger aged 18 or above is only allowed to bring into Hong Kong no more than 19 cigarettes for his own use exempted from duty. Please enter the red channel to declare your excess cigarettes.
And welcome back to Crossover. More news about buildings or architecture, but this time it's in Shanghai. It's really about protection of architecture, protection of the old communities or old streets, old buildings. According to the new regulation released by the Shanghai government, it's been released in August. Say they are going to protect the 64 main roads in the old town. In other words, these 64 roads will not be expanded or changed. And it's not only about these roads, these streets. It's also about all these communities.
You know, in Shanghai, I would think that that's a very difficult decision to make because, especially in Puxi, on the
old
western
part of the
side,
town,
the western side of the river, the streets are very narrow. And you have cars, you have people, you have bicycles. And oftentimes you'll see bicycles on the sidewalk because there's no room for them in the street. And so to make a decision like this, I would think, that's a difficult decision to make because Shanghai's got lots of cars.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah,
Huge city.
Metropolitan
it's the same as
city.
true in Beijing, as they widen